What's up, people? In this episode, we are going to be talking about architecture apprenticeship, or what other people call themselves as junior architect or architecture apprentice. Kung bago dito, I'm Prim, an architect who loves to sketch and is also into creative entrepreneurship. If anything that I have just mentioned or shared sparked your interest, click the subscribe button to see more videos like this. So why listen to me? Recently, I just passed the licensure examinations for architecture last January 2024. And if I'll be honest, I think it's nicer to hear from someone who has just experienced the thing that you're trying to get into. So I've been licensed 6 months ago, and so I think my experience as an apprentice from 2021 to 2023 is still fresh for me, and I can share some things that I have experienced that you might use if you're planning to continue your architecture career here in the Philippines, or probably if you're in other countries as well. So 3 things that I promised you in this video is, first, I'll be sharing to you the definition of architecture apprentice, the general definition, the term itself. Second is the considerations or the things that you should be considering in choosing your firm as an architecture apprentice. And last but not the least is I'll be sharing my own insights, my own experience as an architecture apprentice and now a licensed architect. So before anything else, I would like to share to you that I also had a video 9 months ago or 10 months ago regarding architecture apprentice, titled 3 Major Things About Architecture Apprentice. I tackled that architecture apprentice is a trade of value, it is a paid training, and it is a requirement for us to be eligible to take the licensure examinations here in the Philippines. It might differ from other countries. So just a general definition of architecture. If you are watching this video, most likely you are an architecture student, an architect, or someone who loves to sketch. So general definition of it is the art and science or science of building, creating buildings, designing buildings. But on the other hand, apprenticeship or apprentice, according to Cambridge Dictionary, means someone who has agreed to work for a skilled person for a particular period of time and often for a low payment in order to learn that person's skill. So as you can see, we're trying to highlight certain things. Una is yung low payment. You also have working for a skilled person in a particular period of time. Since this is a general definition, if we apply it here in the Philippines, the architecture practice here in the Philippines, we are required to have at least 2 years of architecture apprentice. So we need to be able to work under a professional or a skilled person, and that is going to be our mentor for the 2-year firm. Whether you're gonna have different firms, magkakaroon ka ng iba-ibang mentors for that one, for each firms. But if you stick with one firm for the rest of the 2-year apprenticeship phase that you're gonna have only one mentor, and that's the skilled person we're trying to refer to. And then understand, again, para hindi tayo magkaroon ng misunderstanding, is that compensation, very common, is low payment yung nakakuha natin as an apprentice. Again, apprenticeship phase is just a requirement for us. It is for us to learn the skills of the skilled person, or let's say in our field, the licensed architect that we're trying to work for. So kinukuha natin siya. In other terms, we're trying to exchange values. We're giving them the service of what we've learned for the 5 years or 4 years architecture course that we've been through, and then they're going to share their skills as they are already in the field or practice of architecture itself. And then in compensation, it's just going to be the cherry on top or icing on top. Hindi siya yung main focus mo kasi still you're an apprentice. You're trying to soak in knowledge from the skilled or the licensed architect that we're trying to work for. One more thing that I think I want to share is that when I was younger, I actually didn't know about the difference between internship and apprenticeship. Yes, I was that stupid. And so I would like to just share this one. I did some definition research, is that internship versus apprenticeship. Internship is more of like a short term, diba? Usually ito yung OJT. Apprenticeship is for a longer period of time. So again, internship is short-term position for a specific role. industry or company. On the other hand, apprenticeship is of course long-term, and then it's an exchange of value with skills, service, or trade, wherein you can get a compensation that most likely I want to give you an expectation already that it's going to be low compensation. So things to consider in choosing a firm or picking a firm as an architecture apprentice. So before anything else, I would like to share my short story in choosing my firm when I was 3 years ago. So after passing my thesis, again it was amidst of pandemic, and I took a 2-month break. Then my mom helped me look for a job. She was able to recommend me with her friend that's a principal architect of a architecture firm that focuses on project management and construction services. And I stayed there for 1 year. After, it is a small firm, and sinabi ko sa sarili ko na okay, after 1 year I would be looking for a different firm so that I would have different knowledge, or let's say different values from a different mentor. You can do that. You can have 1 year, 1 year, and 1 year for the minimum of 2 years apprenticeship phase. But on a different video of mine, wherein I interviewed some of the top notchers with the previous 2024 January 2024 examination, Architect Miguel Macam, who is a top notcher as well, shared that he didn't minimize his apprenticeship for 2 years, but rather in-extend pa niya. I don't know exactly kung ano yung naging longevity nung apprenticeship phase niya, kung only 2 years and couple of months, or nag-extend pa siya for another year. But what I'm saying is you can have different firms if you want to learn from different people, different architects, different mentors. And afterwards I decided that I'm going to be under a high-end residential project-based architecture firm. So afterwards, I took my licensure examinations when I was eligible to take the boards. So according to, I forgot this site, I'm going to be putting it into the description. I think there are general firms. They said that there's 5 general firms. One is residential firm, second is commercial architecture firm, third is landscape architecture firm, fourth is sustainable or green architecture, and last but not the least is interior design firm. So I think here in the Philippines, majority of firms does general architecture services, and then they just accept whatever projects come into their firm as long as they are capable in doing it. So one of the ways that we can filter different firms is by doing a background check. Majority of the firms nowadays has their own social media presence. It could be Instagram, Facebook, or their own online page. So from there, pwede mo silang i-research. For example, a specific architecture firm, make a background check on what projects they are focusing on. If you want to be knowledgeable in terms of residential, you can see different firms that focuses on that one, basing on their portfolio, basing on their projects on their online pages. And at the same time, you can ask other people that are working. You may have friends that are working under those firms, and that's a project-based background checking that I think is very essential because, of course, architecture firms are focused or has different focuses. Maybe interior design, might be design and build. You want to learn with the designing phase and also the construction phase, which is, I think, very, very essential in the architectural apprentice phase that we're going to be needing before the examinations. So that's one way. One more thing that I would like to share is the notion of picking bigger or smaller firms. I think one of the things that we should be able to understand is, in terms of picking the architecture firm, is first, if you're trying to be in a bigger firm, understand that there's a lot of people in there because it's a big firm, a corporate firm. And since there's a lot of manpower, majority of your projects would be just a part of a project. So for example, you're going to be able to handle a toilet and bathroom detail or a part of, for example, a commercial building. You're going to be part of a team. On the other hand, for smaller firms, since I've been into a small firm, what happens is you're going to be handling your own project. You're going to be given one whole project and you're going to be handling it from the schematic phase up until the construction phase. So there's a big difference between, for example, being more social, more on the bigger firm. On the other hand, smaller firms, you're going to be more focused on the project itself. So if you're like me that soon wants to have his own firm, I think smaller firms are the best way to go as early as you are in the architecture apprenticeship phase. So one more thing that I would like to share to you guys is from the book called Creative Careers, Making a Living with Your Ideas. This was given to me by my girlfriend, and one concept here by Dory Clark, which is a American author and education professor under University's Columbia Business School, is choosing whether you want to be in the bigger firm or the smaller firm. This is what he says. The ideal choice is both. So over the course of your college and early career, you can see what appeals to you more. If you have a strong preference for one or the other, honor that first. But if you're neutral about it, the best move would be to work for a large name brand company. The reason for that is a term that psychologists and sociologists called social proof. The basic idea is that you are going to get more respect and more credibility on your resume and will be treated better by people because you have a name brand attached to you. Just to explain, sinasabi niya is, for example, meron kang preference with one over the other. For example, studying in your college university and magkaroon ka ng idea. For example, just like me, I want to be an entrepreneur, a solo architect in the future. I want to be able to learn how to handle a project from start to finish. Of course, on bigger firms as well, you're able to handle those things, but majority of the people that are working on a smaller firms tend to have more workload. And thus, that's the meaning of just being a solo architect. Wala kang kasama, you're just working on your own, less manpower, and you need to be able to handle stress, majority of it on your own. So if you have a preference already, then honor that first. That's a no-brainer, then pick whatever you want, bigger or smaller firm. But if you are neutral about it, if you don't have any opinion about it, and then one way to go is to choose the bigger firm because of the thing called social proof. So yun siya, nagkakaroon ng parang bias with the bigger firm kasi because of the name brand. For example, Nike, you worked for a Nike as a product designer, or let's say Victoria's Secret. So meron ka ng parang brand name that's walking with you, diba? Yun. So that's the tip in the book, again, called Creative Careers. A good book that I would like to recommend for you guys if you want to be a creative entrepreneur in the future. Last but not the least is my own tips. Siguro isa lang yung tip ko is, I think, na nasabi ko on a previous video regarding board examinations, is to na parang mas okay na may experience ng isang tao rather than just reading it, or let's say concept-based. Pero I realized that also reading, despite not being able to experience something, is also helpful as well. And so I think one of the things, if I would go back in my architecture apprenticeship phase, is to experience. So I would be like a sponge dun sa apprenticeship phase ko when I'm under my mentor, pero at the same time, on my free time, still study concepts and the laws of architecture on my free time. I know parang sobrang na parang, so meaning to say, even on my free time, architecture pa rin pag-aaralan ko. That's just a tip. Kasi that would hone not just your experience, but also your idea of like other things as well. because sometimes we're just learning from one person, and that's going to be our mentor. But sometimes books, laws, yun yung minsan hindi natin napapractice. If I'll be honest, there's a lot of things or concepts or laws on, for example, National Building Code na hindi natin na gagawa into practice because, for example, money, or let's say gusto natin madali na lang yung pagpapatapos ng project. Pero ayun, I think the combination of both things, studying, learning and experience, face to face, asking person to person, being able to execute, speaking to other people, communicating, coordinating with other consultants and other, for example, the clients, that would help you as well. Pero usually kasi we forget after the experience itself. So it's nice to have both spectrums of studying concepts based on books, learning through YouTube, learning through other things as well. And at the same time, learning in the experience itself. So those are the things that I have promised. First is the Architecture Apprentice, the definition of it. Also, I've added the difference between apprenticeship and internship. Second is guidelines or considerations to think in picking or choosing your architecture firm as an architecture apprentice. And last but not the least is my tip na we need both ends of studying and being able to experience it as well. With this, if I have earned your trust, one way for you to show gratitude is by sharing this channel. This is just a small channel that focuses on architecture, sketching, and creative entrepreneurship. Share this, subscribe, use word of mouth to share this if you have friends that are into creative entrepreneurship as well. And also by commenting down below if you have criticism, if you have any questions, that would help me as well as an individual or an architect or a designer or a creative entrepreneur in the future. And so just like always, focus on what matters, and I will see you at the next one. Peace. Before anything else, I would like to pitch in something. Soon enough, I'm going to be releasing a creative entrepreneurship online community, and if you're interested, just subscribe in this YouTube channel and I'll be posting details some other time. Peace.